We're Laura and Cindy, and you're listening to the Holistic Horsemanship and Husbandry podcast, where we talk about natural horsekeeping and deepening your connection with your horse. I'm Laura, your horse care mentor. I teach natural horse management practices after working with over 200 horses and seeing how current industry standards are compromising the health of the horse.
And I'm Cindy, your horsemanship mentor, offering a proven and unique approach to creating deep connections with your horses from 20 plus years of experience, including working with wild Mustangs. If you enjoy this conversation, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to us so we can get this podcast into the ears of more passionate horse people. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about setting goals for the upcoming year. We are in the middle of the Christmas holiday season, and I believe Laura and I both like to take some quiet time with a cup of tea, think about what did we achieve? What were our goals for this year? And did we achieve them all? And did they meet our expectations? Did we fall short? Did we set too many goals? I'm one who tends to set far too many goals.
Yeah, I can be guilty of that too.
And then it's kind of like setting yourself and your horse up to fail from the get-go. And then, once I reflect on them and I look at the ones that I achieved, I try to celebrate. And I try to celebrate those with my horse because I achieved them with my horse. And so that might look like sitting out in the sun together, having some carrots, or having a nice body massage, or going for a stroll. Not a ride. Sometimes the ride can be enjoyable, but I tend to like to just do that undemanding time. How do you celebrate your achieved goals with your horse, Laura?
I don't know why. MJ and I have always really connected during the golden hour of the day. Some of our happiest moments together have just been clomping down the trail that we've probably been down, no joke, 500 times because it's just right out the back of the barn. Just going, maybe bareback, maybe a saddle, doesn't matter. The sun's setting. It's warm. It smells so good. And we're just observing our favorite trail together. And she's calling all the shots. If she wants to trot, we trot. If she wants to meander and stop and eat, that's fine. It's just a total whatever you want to do ride. And for some reason, I always just have this incredible heart-to-heart feeling with her that's more powerful in these moments at the golden hour than any other time. And it's just my absolute favorite. And as a busy human, that's often a hard time of day to be at the barn because then the sun's down and it's over and you got to rush home and dinner and bedtime and da 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 da. But when I make the time for it, it is a really lovely experience.
And then those goals that we didn't achieve. I like to look at the list of goals that I didn't achieve and ask myself, are they still goals that I want to achieve? Because, there's that saying, you don't know what you don't know till you know it. So you have this goal, and I'm sorry, but I'm not thinking of any specific ones right now. And I'll explain that, in a minute. You achieve a goal, you have 5 goals and you achieve the first 2 and you're at a new place.
Yeah.
You're at a new place as a horse woman and your horse is in a new place and your relationship and your partnership's in a new place. And now all of a sudden those other 3 goals may not be important or might need to be tweaked a little bit. Or you might have new goals depending on what the outcome was.
I mean, that's kind of how this year went with MJ and I. I mean, I really wanted to get her back in shape, really good shape. And I kind of felt like I failed at that goal because I didn't do a bunch of long distance trail riding. And that is in my brain how I was going to get her into shape. And so I kept thinking, like, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening. And I've been looking at her this year versus our pictures of last year, and like her body just looks 100 times better. She was from end of July to the beginning of September last year. She was waiting for her surgery date because after the surgery, I had to be available to walk her 3 times a day for 90 days. And so I needed a minute to take a beat and clear the decks on my life and make sure I could do that. Otherwise, the surgery was going to fail and there was no way. So we put her on Equiox and we set the date. And it's wild how pain and injury is hard on the body. She had no muscle. Everything was just saggy. I just saw a picture of me trimming her and I was like, wow, she looked haggard. And it was a slow happening. And, I was just in my head about that one leg. We just have to fix that one leg, but I wasn't seeing the whole horse. And now she looks like a happy, bouncy horse. She's using her whole body correctly. She's sound at the walk, trot, lope. I'm hoping that by the time this episode comes out, that's still true because I don't fully trust her soundness yet. But did we do any long distance riding? No. Did everything that we do take into account what's your body position? How are we making sure that we're setting up your life so that you're moving? We're doing just basic exercises on the ground. We're getting you out and going on long walks, even if we're not working. So if I were to just offhandedly say, oh, I didn't achieve that goal, but when I really look at it, I bet I could go on a 5-mile trail ride and she would be fine. But really what it is when I look at her body, is she strong? Is she capable? Is she able to use it in the way that she wants without being an injury risk to herself? She 100% is.
And then you got to throw into the mix life.
Yes.
Life
yes.
happens. Let me remind you, my dear friend and friends listening, Laura had a baby in June of this year. So from the time that MJ had surgery, shortly during recovery, Laura became pregnant, and that was a whole new goal being fulfilled in your life. I really admire how you have been able to remain so dedicated to MJ, all the while still getting used to being a mom.
Yeah, she has been a gift in that, for sure.
And because of your relationship and the fact that you were with her so much during your pregnancy, she got the gift of being involved in all of that new life growing in your belly. And if you're listening to this podcast, I bet you too believe that they can feel the energy in that belly growing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And being a mare, it's an even added.
It is.
Versus a gelding, like, what the heck's that? You got worms? Or a mare's like, ooh. I remember you sharing times with me where MJ was just like fascinated with your belly.
Yeah.
Way before you were even showing.
Yeah, that was interesting, as she was way fascinated way before I was even showing. And then like the more real it got, the more she got kind of like, wait a minute, I think this is gonna mess up my life a little bit. But now she's really coming along. Today we were in the arena and I just laid out like a huge blanket in the arena and put baby in the center of it. And then we were over on the totally other side of the arena, but we were keeping an eye on her. And I couldn't keep MJ with me. She just wanted to go over there by that blanket. I just wanted some focus time with you. Like, baby's super happy playing with a book. And she's like, no, screw that. I want to go over and be with the baby.
It's her baby too. So, setting those goals, Laura, you feel like you met your goals to a degree, not what you thought it would look like.
Yeah.
And for me, Laura and I are both deep diving into building businesses for ourselves and one together. So we had that on our list of goals. But for me and my horses, I was going to spend a lot of time on Harry, getting him more solid for the mounted posses that I belong to. And then I was going to ride Katniss, my little 6-year-old Mustang, who actually had a broken neck when she was 4 months old. So we've taken it super slow, but I wanted to get her, under saddle and do some flatland traveling with her. And we were starting to do that springtime. And then Rocky came into my life,
Mhm.
and my Gypsy Vanner quarter horse, and he turned things around because I had been working with just green horses since 2021. It was so nice to have a horse who was not green and so well trained and super cool. He's like totally my new heart horse. And so Harry and Katniss have spent the better part of the year loving life in pasture.
But
And
now you have a partner in that goal.
yeah,
And there's a lot of value in having a partner in that goal.
yeah. And Rocky was a former mounted police officer's horse. And so he's got a lot of training on him, and he also has, it's fun, Laura, watching him go from a disciplined, regimented life of being on duty however many days a week he was on duty, and then being trail ridden during the off times, to being a horse in a herd. And his main responsibility right now is just to bond and be my partner and figure each other out. That's kind of been our goal since May. And
Gosh,
now,
I can't believe it's been since May. Time has flown.
I know, right? I got him right before baby was born. And so, I'm reflecting on all of that. And there's a part of me that feels bad for Harry just sitting, because Harry was becoming my like main squeeze. And he watches me walk Rocky out of the, past his pasture. And I know he really wants to get out. And so part of my new goal is to make more time for Harry,
Yeah,
and balance that out. And then Katniss, I right now she's got a tendon issue. So
that's
that's
right.
coming and going. And then Rocky and I our goal for this new year is, we have applied for a new police department's mounted unit volunteer team. And they have a pretty rigid regimen testing in April
That's
that
awesome. Because that means once you're in, you have good partners.
we will have to I went to one of their trainings, and oh, it was intense. I mean, flares being thrown, gunshots being fired off,
Wow.
things, firecrackers being thrown in garbage cans, and flares being thrown in the trails that they're walking on, and they have to walk through them. And I mean, it was sirens going everywhere, and that stupid collapsing thing that blows up and stands up and then
Oh,
collapses.
at like the car dealerships and stuff, the
Yeah,
attention grabbers. Yeah.
yep, that scares everybody. So that's our April. We're striving to pass that test.
Is there opportunities to practice on the course?
Uh, I don't know that, but this training is a week long.
Oh, cool.
So it's 8 hours a day for 6 days. And we start out slowly and then we build. So that will be our practice.
That's awesome.
One of my friends is already on that team. And if I asked her, hey, let's get together and practice, I'm sure she would help simulate some stuff. That's what I planned in this year. And it fell short because stuff happened. There's that, have a plan, but be flexible. And I'm still pretty content where everything is, because Harry and I are still very bonded. Katniss and I are still very bonded. We rise to the occasion. And so, yeah, this coming up year is going to be, I would love to make it a priority to be able to spend more time with my own horses, but we'll see if that can happen.
I feel like Rocky probably doesn't mind other horses in close proximity from his so I feel like you could do some serious ponying and put some trail miles on your kiddos and they would love it.
Well, Harry is not good with other horses in close proximity. So he would most likely spend a lot of time. I mean, he did good with RC being ponied because RC nailed him a few good times. I don't know if Rocky would do that, and I don't want to ruin Rocky's being okay with being in close formation with other
he won't set a
horses
boundary.
because that's his job, you know,
Yeah.
as a mounted police horse, he has to tolerate that. And then Katniss can't be ponied because of her neck.
Her neck, that's right.
If she were to pull and pinch that nerve, she'd paralyze her hindquarters.
Yeah.
So I've thought about that.
Yeah, she would. Do you think she could ever be a candidate for following loose?
I don't know. I mean, I would have to be able to find the right place to do that. I tried to do that with her and Dakota, because, you know, Dakota's raised her. And she made Dakota was too green to tolerate the shenanigans of Katniss around us with me in the saddle. That was way too much stress for where Dakota is emotionally. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. What's your goals? Have you set any goals or any ideas for next year?
Well, in my deciding that if I'm going to be taking time away from baby, it's going to be for horses. And so tomorrow, I have an interview with a barefoot trimming school out of Europe that is a 2-year intensive. So Cindy and I kind of have opposite goals, in that Cindy wants to spend more time with her own horses, and I am going to be getting out in my community and getting my hands on different hooves and learning and working, and I just want to be bone tired and so satisfied and happy for the next 2 years because I'm fully immersed in everything horse.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. And in that, I've been trimming MJ for 2 years now, and she has good hooves. Like, I don't worry about her hooves, but I know that there are some skills that I could work on that would just make them gorgeous. And I think I'm going to be able to pick up on those little details for her feet because I know her feet so well really quickly. So yeah, I hope that she just like has show-stopping hooves by the end of next year.
So when you're setting goals for the upcoming year, do you have a strategy?
First, I just look at the big picture things. What did I want to do? I want a career in horses. What do I want that career in horses to look like? What is it going to take to get there? Take the first action, which is interviewing. And it was the same thing with MJ's hooves. In 22, it must have been. I set the goal. I want to be MJ's trimmer by the end of this year. I set the intention. I asked the questions. What is it going to take? I found the right support. The next thing I knew, by mid-March, I had a rasp in my hands, and by August, I was no longer getting help. I'd been thinking about it. I kind of wanted it, but then I was like, okay, what's it going to take to make this happen? And just chipping away at it, one step at a time. And there's other goals that I have in my life, like buying a horse property and starting a rehab track. They're not ready to come out yet. So I want the horse property. I want the rehab track. I don't know what step one is. I'm not ready for that yet. I want to go out and get a lot of experience trimming some hooves. And it's all going to accumulate. All these little actions are going to accumulate in the horse property and the rehab track. But right now, it's the smaller piece of the goal that's going to get me there. Let's pause for a moment. Have you ever looked at your horse and wondered if they're thriving in your care? Is there more you can do to give them the best life possible? Most ranches and boarding facilities are set up for convenience, not horse health, but there's tons you can do to fix your horse's situation if you're willing to get creative. Join Evidence-Based Horsekeeping, my Facebook group where members learn how to improve the mental and physical well-being of their horses. The link is in the show notes.
Yeah, within that big dream goal.
Dream. Yes, within the dream. Yeah, little tiny actions toward the dream.
You have a plan.
Yeah.
It's that strategy of working backwards. Like, what is my goal? What is my dream? What am I passionate about? What is it that I could spend the rest of my life doing? And then when you feel that, then you kind of work backwards on what would it take. And it's been fun to watch you over the past 4 years going through all of that and working yourself backwards, coming to what feels like a very solid first goal. Very exciting.
Yeah, my goal used to be to go out in the business world and make a lot of money so that I could have horses in my spare time, but my soul has not been getting on board with that. So it is time to say, fine, soul, I will follow you now.
So I just kind of want to recap what you said about goal setting for all of our listeners who may have some goals for their horses, or their dreams of even having a horse. I mean, I think some people listen to a lot of horse things who are maybe taking horseback riding lessons or leasing, or, so whatever your goal is, this is what Laura stated in her process. First, she sets the goal. Like, what is the goal? And in setting that goal, for me, it's like when I think about what do I want to do, does it open my heart?
Yeah.
Does it make me feel good? Does it make me excited? It may make you scared too, and that's normal. That's a good thing. But does it make you excited? Is it something you can invest in? And then the next thing she said she does is set her intention. Now that's the mindset. That's that getting out of that place of doubt and swirling in how could this ever happen? This is impossible. There's all these reasons why this won't work. And so you have to work through that process in order to really set some solid intentions. And then the next thing she said is she asked questions. And so I have my idea of what she meant by that, but I want to hear her idea of asking questions. Are they questions she asked herself? Questions she asked others? A little bit of both? What did you mean when you said you ask questions?
It's definitely a little bit of both. Internally, how do I want this to feel? And when will I know it's right as it's coming to life? So let's say the first year I got MJ, I wanted to get her going under saddle. I wanted to feel connected to her. I wanted to feel like she was confident and accepting of that saddle and me as a rider. I didn't want to just get it done as quickly as possible, no matter how dangerous and shut down and miserable she was. So in that, then I go, okay, what support do I need to make that happen? And then I go out and I look for the support that is in line of how I want it to feel. So I want to work with a mentor who's going to help me foster a relationship and train this horse slowly and ethically and make sure that her and I are on the same page so that this goes the way I want it to go. I didn't just say, I want to ride my horse, so I'm going to hire the closest person down the road. And he's going to sack her out and ride her in 3 days and send me home to get bucked off and break my back. And it can take some time to find that support. Like probably I think maybe I want to be a farrier goal has been sitting on my heart for a few years. And I just found like the perfect support. And it feels so, so right. Had I just jumped into it, it would have been forced.
So let's pick that apart a little bit deeper, you guys. This is now digging into that whole goal setting process. So Laura set out 2 years ago. This is after she already developed that kind of a relationship. She got that relationship going. She was building the trust and the connection and the communication and that solid relationship that then made the two of them mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, that connection heart to heart, ready to create a partnership. And within that partnership, and Laura's specialty in holistic husbandry and the whole care of the horse, the hoofs became something that was a focal point for her. And after, and this is me, you correct me, but if I understood it right, you had some farriers that weren't meeting what you needed, and you had somebody introduce to you the concept of this barefoot trimming and a more nutritional from the ground up approach. And you being the holistic natural homesteader you are, took that as, I'm going to make sure this gets straightened out, and you started your hoof trimming journey. Somewhere in that early process, the intention of, I want to know all I can know about the horse from the hoof up. Because without a healthy hoof, you don't have a healthy horse. And so what I heard you say was like 2 years ago, that intention was set.
Yes, it was. And I was like, no, you have to have a real career in business. So just shut up and work on your own horse.
Because you went to college for business.
Because I went to college to have a real career. And please hear the sarcasm in my voice, because there are so many amazing professionals out there in horses who have very rare careers and are killing it.
So then she asked questions, she found support then and now, and in her goal setting processes. Then the next step in this whole process of goals is measurable steps. You set the intention, you ask the questions, you find the support, and then you take those steps. And I think a lot of us do this setting too big of steps, or trying to achieve the goal too fast. And that actually sets our horse and ourselves up for failure, not success. So it's those little measurable steps. And then the one thing that I think all of us are guilty of, and our horses deserve us to stop, is we don't stop and celebrate those milestones nearly enough. Because let's keep in mind, let's keep it real, people. Our horses did not set the same goal we did. Our horses do not have the same desires we do, except for feeling safe, comfortable, having playful times, and enjoying a meal together. How many times have you actually had a meal with your horse, everyone? It's amazing, right, Laura?
It's really fun.
And nibble with your horse.
Yeah.
Especially when you're nibbling on something they can have with you. So celebrating, I know I'm guilty of it, and I see my clients doing it all the time. They have a goal, they achieve it, then they're like, okay, let's get it better. Let's do it more. Let's do it more. Let's get it done. Let's go on to this next goal. And that's not making it fun for the horse.
Yeah. Because
really, if it's not fun for the horse, is it really fun for us?
It shouldn't be if you're aware of it. And you really want to make sure that you're tuning that awareness, because otherwise your horse isn't going to be able to get your attention until they're screaming.
I have seen horses be pulled out of their pasture and pretty excited to play with their person. Yes, I said play. And get in the round pen and start doing some groundwork and doing more and doing more and doing more, because they don't have the goal of connecting and getting in a good space together and then moving on. They want to get it better and better. And the more that they make the horse keep doing it and doing it, the more the horse is shutting down or acting up.
Yeah.
I've seen both. Or they have learned, okay, have a plan, have a goal for the warm up on the ground, and then get in the saddle and have your plan, your goal of what you want to achieve in that day, and watch the horse excited to engage with you. And then I have seen horses like stop flat I'm not moving, or start really fighting what's happening. And the reason that I have found for that is because the horse has never had the opportunity to feel like a winner.
Yeah.
Like what they're doing in that moment was correct, was great, was, I call it looking for moments to celebrate, because your horse, again, doesn't have the same goal as you. So if you're grilling and grilling, and it's okay to set a goal in a day or in a week or in a month or in a year and keep striving for it, but you have to celebrate with your horse. You have to let them know
Yeah.
they are the best horse in the moment.
And when you really embody that feeling of you are the most amazing unicorn I have ever sat across, they feel it. They feel it so much. And it makes them proud. It makes them happy.
It makes them want to play with you.
It makes them want to, yeah. And so you got to pause for that time.
Yeah.
Let that feeling fill up your whole body and just radiate out of you and let them bask in it. You'll be amazed at what they'll do for you after that.
One of the things that I really strive to do when I'm engaging with a horse on the ground or in the saddle, be it working on something specific or just out on the trail, I am looking for every opportunity to celebrate my horse. Every little opportunity. And if I don't have a couple dozen celebrations by the time we're done, then I was too rigid on my horse. And when I'm asking and we're working on something and we're falling short, I'm looking not at what isn't working, I'm looking at what is working. And I'm asking myself, where am I falling short in my communication with my horse that they're not getting the move the way that I know it could be? So it's never the horse doing it wrong. It's like, how can I be better to help him be better? And then when I'm working on something and they make one foot movement, whether it's shifting their weight on that foot or a full on moving that foot in that direction, I stop and we have a freaking celebration party. And then it makes them go, oh, this is kind of fun.
I am so good at doing that with MJ and so poor at doing it with myself.
Ah, good point. Tell me more about that.
When her most likely time to pitch a fit under saddle or get pissed at me is because I'm drilling something where I'm not setting her up. I'm not communicating. I need to try that again. I know. I see where I was wrong. Can I do that again? Oh, wait, I think I need to do it this way. What if I try it again and try it again and try it again? And then I get it. And I'm like, great, on to the next thing. And she is like, for the love of God, can we take a freaking breath? Yeah. But, she was doing what I was asking her to do the whole time. I was just flubbing it.
Right.
But still, she's still trying and she still deserves a break and I deserve a break.
Right. And yeah, and that's the key. You hit the nail on the head, Laura. The key is it's not her doing it wrong. It's you not asking or putting your weight. I mean, it's in the ask that the communication breakdown is. And so when she gets it right, we don't stop and celebrate us.
Or it's like, oh, I'm going to do that 4 more times so that I lay down the muscle memory and I can do it perfectly from here on out. And my body's tired. And it's like, no, you are going to give yourself the release that you would give your horse.
Right. And in return, you're giving your horse that release.
Release too.
I think it's that overachiever in the human.
It totally is. Yeah.
It's like, oh, we've been striving so long. Let's keep doing, let's get more. And I learned several years ago that when I hear myself saying, "Oh, great, let's do it again," that's the time to stop.
Stop. Yes. Yes.
Because it's like Murphy's Law. If we move forward after that, everything's going to fall to pieces.
Yeah.
And our goal setting, Laura and I were talking about this before this episode, our goal setting should always at the top of every goal. The first intention should be to have the horse enjoying and involved and their well-being being honored. And then the next intention is, I'm going to achieve this by such and such time. I believe I can do this. I believe we can do this. Because I think that so many of us set goals for our journey with our horses, like I said already, that the horses care less about.
They care less about it.
I mean, if we sat down at a round table with Rocky and MJ and said, "Hey guys, how about we do this?" They'd be like, how about if we just do some undemanding time and some riding and some meditating and, don't forget my body work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can we be engaging enough that our horses want to achieve our goals with us? Ready to unlock true freedom with your horse? Join Unbridled Freedom, our private Facebook group for women on a spiritual journey in horsemanship. We don't fix our horses, we transform ourselves. This is your space to embrace challenges, celebrate victories, and deepen your bond with your horse. If you're ready to lead with wisdom, compassion, and inner peace, join us today. Let's dance with our horses as one. The link is in the show notes below.
It comes back to the play. And for me and MJ, it's all about lightheartedness. We have to keep it lighthearted and fun. We have to laugh it off when we make a mistake. We can't set, a regime in place and be determined to stick to it. Or we both get soured and bored and not fun. Which I've done before, because it's like, I'm going to figure out how to do the perfect, side pass through an H of poles and then do a spin and da-da-da, and I'm going to this is going to be amazing, and then somehow that's going to make me and my horse more worthy or something. I don't know. But then you start drilling it and you're doing it day after day after day. And on day 4, you feel the energy of you and your horse going into the arena, and it feels like you're walking into your least favorite class and your least favorite time of your school career or a job that you hate or something. And you look at each other and you're like, why are we doing this? Let's go do something fun. But if you don't get yourself into that regime, you stay aware, you feel out your horse, constantly ask yourself, how can I make this fun? How can I make this engaging? How can I keep it lighthearted? Your creative wheels are going to start spinning and fun is going to happen.
One of the things I'd like to add to the, goal setting process is when you decide on a goal, before you go through the steps that we laid out, which is, I think, a pretty solid set the goal, set the intention, ask the questions inward and outward, find the support, take measurable steps. And in that involves the time frame of realistic, measurable steps. You can't skip steps. And then most important, right there with the intention, to me, is celebrate those milestones with your horse and celebrate you and your horse. Do not just celebrate your horse and do not just celebrate you. Yeah. It's a team. When you set the goal, I actually think the first step before the intention is to ask yourself, why you want to achieve the goal, especially when it's with your horse. Why? I think that could be hugely revealing.
Hugely revealing.
And if it doesn't open your heart and make your heart just like excite you, like, yeah, I want to go out and do it now with the sprinkle of fear, like, oh my God, who am I kidding? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
the sprinkle of fear is just stepping outside your comfort zone, which you got to do. So that's no problem.
Right. That's that autonomic nervous
Yeah.
system, fight or flight protecting. Don't leave the comfort zone. That's very unsafe. Um, but yeah, for me, I think set the goal, then ask the question, why is this important to me?
And if it's about your ego, because it's going to pad your horse person resume, sit with that for a minute before you move forward. Does padding your horsemanship resume make you better for your horse? I don't think that's a black and white answer, but you need to make sure that the goal is healthy for you and your horse.
And I also think that setting a goal, because your horse should know this, or your horse has to be better. You're going to fix your horse type thing. That is another goal that I would encourage you to sit deep with on why you feel that. Because all living beings are perfectly imperfect. So just because your girlfriends can do it, or you saw a really cool YouTube and like, yeah, I want to do that, you may not always have the horse that is meant to do that.
And you might not be ready to do that in your skills.
Mm-hmm.
And you may go pick up some skills, rewatch that video. You've honed your awareness along the way and realize, oh, just kidding. That horse is miserable. I would never want to do that. I am going to pick on barrel racers for a moment.
Okay.
If your horse is pawing at the trailer the entire time he's at the race, cannot get down the aisle without 4 people
Holding him back.
holding him back because he's so freaked out and his head is 18 feet up in the air and you have to put a tie down on him. He does not like his job. That is not a horse that loves his job. That is a horse that is having a patterned response. He is in his sympathetic nervous system and he is doing what he thinks he needs to do to survive.
It's called learned helplessness.
Yeah.
And
he will do that for you again and again and again until his body breaks down. Are there horses that can walk out of the trailer, stand calm, walk down the chute? Their ears are forward, their energy is up. You feel them beneath you. They feel excited, but they're under control in their body. And they go like they've been shot out of a gun when their owner gives them the go.
And there's no whipping, and there's no
whipping, there's no
spurring.
starfishing, there's no nothing. That is a horse that loves his job. I believe those horses exist. I believe they're pretty rare. I also believe that there would be way more of them if we slowed down and we helped those horses get back into parasympathetic nervous system and we trained them how to come down the chute and we broke it down and we honed our awareness to understand where they need help and how we can help them.
And that's part of why Laura and I do what we do together on this podcast and in our individual businesses, is that we believe that the horses deserve us to be better. And in that, it's putting the horse's well-being and happiness above all hopes and dreams and goals that we have. And at first, I'm learning, the more that I pursue this passion and goals of mine, is that we're in the horse world is in a paradigm shift right now. And that shift is focusing on the people more than we are the horses. We have to change the mindset of the people, and somehow, and there's many of us out there, thank God we're not alone. There's many of us out there that are trying to educate the people of the whole horse, and that they literally either respond to us or react to us based on how we're showing up and how we view them as a partner or a tool to get to our dreams and goals. And so in that barrel horsing that Laura was sharing with us, I have seen amazing athletic horses in many different modalities, many different sports, where they are completely tuned in to their partner on their back, and they're in that thinking mode, and they're able to self-regulate their emotions, and they go out and they kick ass, and they walk off that field at the end of their run calm. Now, not necessarily physically like totally chilled, but they're emotionally calm. They're connected with their rider. And that is not because they paid $100,000 for that horse. That's not why. Some of these horses are Mustangs that were rescued from kill pens.
Often I see the harder the person had to work to make it happen, the better the connection and the happier the horse. Because that horse wasn't passed around to 10 different people and just thrown up the chain and not listened to. That person had to learn to listen to that Mustang before they were going to get anything done.
Yep. That horse, whether it was a $50,000, $60,000 horse or a $200 kill pen rescue, that's had tons of time spent building and nurturing the relationship and the partnership and the shared responsibilities of achieving something that they both enjoy. That's where sitting back and asking yourself, I want to achieve this goal. Why? And is my horse capable of doing it? And you may not know until you start, and then you find out your horse is like, heck yeah. Or your horse is like, this scares the shit out of me. I can't do this, and then you kind of got to regroup. But, full circle back to, we're here to help open the minds of individuals that are willing to be opened about how much enjoyment we can have with our horses when we start to view them from a different mindset.
Yeah.
And set goals that are for both of us, not just for ourselves.
Yeah. You're going to have to be strong in that if your goals involve some kind of competition, because trainers that train for competition are under so much pressure from their clients, from the industry, from everything, that they've lost their awareness, and unregulated, miserable horses have become normalized to them and they don't see it. I don't believe that most of these people are monsters. They are trying to survive in a broken system that has made abusive, neglectful things normal, forcing a horse beyond what they're comfortable with normal. And they'll say, well, this is a 1,000-pound animal and he wouldn't do it if he didn't really want to. But what we really know now is that horses are extremely compliant. They're extremely conflict averse, and they will do it. I could make MJ be a dressage horse if I wanted to. She would hate it. Precision and slow details is not our thing. Around in a ring, not our thing. I could make her do it because I know how to make her be compliant. I would never. But you have to be the advocate for your horse that sees it and says, actually, my horse is not enjoying this. It's okay if you go to your first lesson or your first thing and your horse is nervous and maybe he goes over threshold a couple times, but he comes back down and he's learning and he's into it. That's fine. But if day after day your horse is having a horrible time, it's time to reevaluate that goal.
I like the question, and I ask myself, and I teach my clients to ask themselves as well, is just because we can, it doesn't mean we should. And that's a huge question to keep in your mind when you are nurturing the kind of partnership and relationship we're talking about here. Is just because they can doesn't mean we should. So I'm excited about this upcoming year and setting some new goals and watching you grow in your goals, Laura. And it would be fun to have you guys share either here in the comments or on our Facebook page. What are some goals? And if you have questions like want some guidance in setting your goals, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to thought storm with you and bump some questions off.
Yeah, a lot of times, you set a huge audacious goal and then you like freeze up and you don't even know the first step. Reach out to us if that happens. We'd be more than happy to brainstorm that first step with you.
It's a lot like what we do with our horses is you set the goal and then you break it down into pieces, measurable steps. So if you have any questions about the topics covered in this episode, send us a message on our Facebook page, Holistic Horsemanship and Husbandry, and we will answer your question in a post on our page. You will be anonymous. We'll just take the question and provide our input, and we want to do it on the post so that we can all learn and grow together, because nobody knows everything. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. We want to remind you that we'll be here every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, following the golden rule. Have a plan, but always be willing to be flexible. Don't forget to connect with us using the links in the show notes below.
If you learned something new today, had an aha, or walked away with a valuable nugget, you can say thanks by leaving us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on.